Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about spelling and pronunciation. If you guys have any questions about this class or would like to suggest material for future class, you can friend me on Facebook and message me there, or send me a message on my Verbling inbox, which you can do at my profile. Trin, welcome to class. Trin, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here, teacher.
Hey, welcome to class, Trin. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm
How are
doing
you
very
doing?
well. I'm ready for the new week. It's Monday again. What are you planning on doing this week, Trin? Anything special planned?
Nothing special, teacher.
All right. Well, it's good to have you with us, Trin. Daniel, how about you? Welcome to class.
Hello, teacher.
What do you have special planned for this week, Daniel?
Next week or previous week? Next
This
week.
week,
This
like
week.
Monday
Okay,
till
okay.
Friday.
No, no. Learning English only, all day, all
Yeah,
day, all day. Yes.
excellent. So you plan to study hard this week. Sounds like fun.
Yes. 5 hours a day.
Excellent. Wow, that's ambitious.
Yes.
Very cool. I'm sure your kids just got back to school, right?
Yes. I'm in school again and again and again.
Yay!
No problem. Enjoy.
All right. Well, it's good to have you with us, Daniel. And Tatitulene, welcome back. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Do you have any fun plans for this week?
Yeah, of course. This week on Wednesday, it's my birthday party, and we decided I with my husband, we decided to go to another place just for a rest and celebrate party. We traveled on a boat and yes, to the maybe to another island. It's a little island.
Wow.
Uh-huh. And we planning make a tour.
Wow, so you're counting down the hours, right? You're like, oh my gosh, it's almost here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you definitely have a more fun week than any of us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. I put the notes for class in the chat box for you guys, and I'm going to screen share for anyone who needs it. Today we're talking about spelling and pronunciation and how they're related. But before we start to read the notes, I want to know what you guys have to say about English spelling. Daniel, do you think it's easy, difficult, and why do you think that?
It's difficult because in Spanish you say the word because you see it all letters sounds in a word, but in
Mm-hmm.
English you can say something and write another thing.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes it's not very similar.
Mm-hmm. True. The letters don't always match up to the sounds that they produce. Good
Yes.
point. Tatitulene, what do you think about spelling and pronunciation in English? Easy, difficult, and why?
I think it's a little bit difficult because in Russian language we haven't got the same sounds and letters and for example, letter R is difficult sometimes I think that it's very easy to pronounce the letter UR like like AR like R, but when I pronounced in words, it's very difficult because native speakers sometimes don't understand me. Especially when I said Turkey, they said, "What? Turkey?"
Yeah, you're not the only one who has trouble with that very strong R sound. It's kind of a unique sound. All right, and Trine, tell us about how you feel about English spelling and pronunciation, if it's easy or difficult, and what gives you the most difficulty.
I think it maybe it's little bit difficult because it's not my language, and but I necessary to learn it because I I think I will use it in the future to go to another country. Um, and every country I think they learn English and I can communicate with them.
Yeah, it's worth learning, but always difficult. Thanks, Trin. And next up, Ismail. Welcome to class.
Hi, Michaela. How are you?
Good. How are you, Ismail?
I am doing well, thank you.
Awesome. So, since we're talking about English spelling and pronunciation, I want to know what gives you the most difficulty between spelling and pronunciation, like where they overlap.
Yes, spelling and pronunciation of English is difficult for a new learner. There are many unruled spelling and pronunciation. For example, German is not like this.
So you think German is a more regular language where things are pretty
Yes.
consistent?
Yes.
Definitely. All right. And Ken, welcome to class.
Yes, hello. How are you?
Good. How are you, Ken?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. So share with us what you think is most difficult about English spelling.
A lot of irregular spelling for the sound. So I need to check the pronunciation on the dictionary. So now the online dictionary is pretty useful because it has sound.
Yeah, definitely. We have excellent resources available as long as internet is available. There's online dictionaries, there's translators that will pronounce things, and hopefully that's helpful. But still, it can be hard to learn and memorize all of these spellings and the way we pronounce different sounds and stuff.
Yeah. I think English.
Is it? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I think English should simplify the spelling for non-native speakers, in my opinion.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea, but we'll see. Is the chat box working for anybody?
No, bubbling chat doesn't work these days. But Google Chat.
It's working for me for some reason, but we'll work with the Google Chat today, so you guys can just move over. Okay. So I sent you guys the notes, and I'll send them once more. I'm also screen sharing them if anyone needs. We're going to talk a little bit about the reason English is so difficult to spell, and then go over some of the cooler facts that might help you guys. So let's read some of these. Starting with Trin, can you read the highlighted section?
Okay. Why does the English language have so many words that are difficult to spell. The main reason is that English has 1,100 different ways to spell. It's a coding for separate sounds more than any other language. Some of the results of this are.
Thank you very much, Trin. And
You will.
Tatitulin, will you read the first two reasons why it's so difficult?
Okay. Words that have the same sounds but are spelled differently. Words that contain letters that have nothing to do with the way the words are pronounced.
Thank you very much. And the next two here are for Ismail. Ismail, are you there? You're muted. We can't hear you. All right. Ismail, if you're having trouble, let us know in the chat box. In the meantime, Daniel, read the next two.
Words that contain silent letters, that is, letters that must be included when you write the words, even though they are not pronounced. Spelling rules that have lists of exceptions. Words that do not follow the rules and thus must be memorized separately.
So those are just like the tip of the iceberg. A few reasons why it can be really difficult to understand how to spell and then how to pronounce the words from reading them. And the next paragraph, Aka, can you read this?
Okay. The situation exists for a variety of reasons. For some words, the pronunciation has changed over the centuries, even though the spelling has not changed. Some words have been borrowed from other languages, and although they have kept their original spellings, people over the years began pronouncing the words according to English rules. Still, other words have been borrowed from other languages and have kept their original spellings and pronunciations, which makes them seem strange by English rules.
Thank you very much. And Trin, back to you for the last paragraph here.
Reason for the ridiculous English spelling don't matter, however, because English is what it is. It has been this way for a long time. If you want to learn to speak and write it, you must learn it as it is and not how it should be. Our task is to make that a little easier for you.
Thanks. Okay, so unfortunately, things are really irregular and tough, but as of right now, there's not really a way to change it. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and we're going to start with some patterns of sounds and how they are pronounced. So the first one we're talking about are O-U-G-H and sometimes O-U-G-H-T, which we have lots of different words that use that, but they're not all pronounced the same. So we have 6 different ways to pronounce that spelling. And the spelling in itself is pretty irregular as it is, but we're going to talk a little bit about how to pronounce these. I'm going to read the first 2 for you guys and then see if you guys can do the rest. So number 1, thought, bought, fought, brought. And over on the how is it pronounced, and with sound of OT as in pot or not. So we have that ah sound. Then in number 2, we have enough, rough, tough, and slough. Ends with sound of uff as in stuff. So that one sounds like an F even though there is no F written. Any questions on those 2?
question.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next ones, and I want you guys to read them the same as I've been reading. So read the entry first, and then go over to the matching number and read how it's pronounced. Do I have a volunteer to read the rest of the OUGH ones? These ones are tough.
Okay, me.
Go ahead, try it for us.
Through, though, although, though, thorough, cough, bought, but maybe bought, dotty. It's new words for me.
Yeah, so you're pretty close. You got all of them totally right. The last one is like the sound ow, so that would be bow and dowdy.
Ah, doughty. What does it mean, doughty?
Someone who is not very graceful, maybe a little bit awkward. Could kind of be like hesitation. Someone who's awkward or maybe like not physically very in shape or fit, kind of like the opposite of athletic. All right, so now that we've pronounced those, let's read the tips. Will you read the tips for us as well? Oops. Tatitulina, are you still there?
Yeah, you asked me to read. What words?
Yes, can you read the
sound? Okay. Ends with sound of long U, as in the word through, shoe. That's why through. Through. And with the sound of long O, as in no or go. Ends with the sounds of, cough. Contain the same sounds as cow or now.
Awesome, thanks. Any questions on those words before we move on to the next section? Okay, so we're going to go through a couple more of these sections. And if you guys have questions along the way, you're welcome to ask. If there are some words that maybe you don't know the meaning of, a lot of the meaning is not particularly important for this class, so you can probably find them on your own, but if you really want to know something, you're welcome to ask as well. So let's read some of these. This is a particular kind of word, and the first few, the ones I've highlighted there, I'm going to ask Daniel to read for us.
Okay. Bite, bite, bite. Seen, seen. Hear, hear. Sense, sense, sense.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So, have you guys heard of these kinds of words before? There's a term for them. Does anyone know the term?
The term?
Mm-hmm.
What is the term?
There's a term for words that are spelled differently but pronounced the same. Does anybody know the term for those words?
Oh.
No?
No.
Okay, so
it's like it's homonyms or homonyms or how can I pronounce?
Yes. Yeah, so we have lots of categories here. Homonyms are one. Those would be different meaning, but similar words. So usually a homonym is spelled the same. But the ones that we're seeing here are homophones. So they're pronounced the same, but they're spelled differently. And this is a topic we're also going to cover next class. Next class we'll be talking about homophones, homonyms, heteronyms, homographs, and lots of other word categories. So we'll talk more about that next class, but today we're just going to go through some examples, like in these particular examples. The next few I'm going to ask Ken to read for us. Ken, will you read these ones I'm highlighting?
Okay. There, there, there. Feet, feet. Eight, eight. Air, air, air.
Thanks. That was a tough set.
What is first air mean?
The first air means to be wrong.
Okay.
The second air is like if you have a son, he will inherit your property once you die or something like that. That would be an heir. And then the last one is the one we're all more familiar with, right? You breathe it.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on those?
The only way to distinguish, I think, the meaning of the sentence.
Yeah, context is a good tool to understand which word is being used. And of course, if it's written, then that's helpful to understand. But the pronunciation is unfortunately exactly the same. All right. One more set here. Trin, can you read the rest of these words for us?
Okay. Will. You. Ill.
Mm-hmm.
L. New.
Thanks. Tough ones, definitely tough ones. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's unfortunately lots of examples of those. I just included some of them that are a few of the words you might see more frequently. All right. So moving on to the next one, we have another common spelling conjunction of consonants that's kind of difficult. But fortunately, these ones are pronounced a little bit more consistently. So, Tatitulin, will you read all of these IGHT words?
Okay. Alight, bite, blight, fight, fright, height, light, night, might, right, sight, tight, plight.
Thank you very much. And there's lots more of those as well, but at least these ones are consistent because they all have the same sound. All right. Any questions before we go on to silent letters? Okay, then let's read some of these with silent letters. Now, if the letter is in red, that's a good clue that you're not going to pronounce it. Ismail, will you read the first few entries here for us?
Not, now, knee, knife, knit, knickers, knuckle, psychology, psychiatrist, noemia.
That one would be pneumonia.
Pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
Should, could, would.
Yep. And the next set is for Daniel. Read the next one for us.
Isle, island. Wrap, wrinkle, right, rat, wrist, wrote, that, doubt, listen, soften, castle, often.
Thank you very much. And the rest of the list here, Ken, will you read it for us? There's 3 more entries.
Okay. Listen, soften, castle, often, hour, up, Wednesday, handkerchief, maybe, maybe.
So the maybe is there because technically that D used to be pronounced. So it's something that faded out of English, but you could still say it if you wanted. So if you wanted to say handkerchief, that would be fine, but most people don't say it. Most people say handkerchief, which is how I say it.
Same as harp, some people pronounce harp, maybe British pronounce harp.
Yeah, sometimes you might hear that.
And often also pronounce often.
Yeah, that one's kind of a debated one, actually, because some people will insist that it's incorrect to pronounce the T, and other people pronounce it that way all the time. So, yeah, some of these are debatable.
Okay.
And the
which is
last
commonly hard in America?
For which one?
Often, and harp and arb.
Herb, I would say, is more commonly pronounced without the H sound. Often, I think, is, again, more commonly pronounced without the T sound, but I find them very interchangeable. Like, sometimes I will say often, and sometimes I will say often. It kind of depends on the situation. Like, I think, for some reason, when I'm teaching classes, I pronounce the T more frequently than when I'm speaking in casual everyday English, say to a friend, I probably would not pronounce the T.
See. Okay, that sounds casual. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like when I'm not thinking about how I speak, I don't use the T, but then when I'm teaching, I'm a little more conscious of my pronunciation. So in those situations, I usually pronounce it more frequently than if I were in another situation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? For example, the word herb, it's like kind of plants?
Yeah, we use that word usually to refer to spices for food, but the kind of spices that are not spicy. So peppers could be considered herbs, but when we're saying herbs, we usually mean things like oregano, rosemary, basil, things that are not...
but I have heard this word herb, like pronounce letter H. Herb.
Sometimes it's pronounced with the H, and I think Ken brought up the point that it's possibly a difference between British and American English, or something that depends on your accent. So maybe some people will pronounce it, and many people will also not pronounce it. So some of these are like a little debatable.
Pronounce, please, this word.
I would say herb.
Herb.
Yeah, so if I were pronouncing in my normal life, I would say herb always. But I have also heard people say herb. I find that difficult to say, though. All right, any other questions on these? We have one more line of silent letters. Ken, will you finish that up for us?
Okay. Lamb, limb, dumb, thumb, climb, tomb, come.
Thanks. Silent B's. So we have some crazy stuff going on here in the silent letter category. And now we have another list of different words, which kind of relates to our next class as well. We're going to read through some of these and then go on to another activity. So I'll read the first few, that way we get the sense of what we're looking at here. Number 1 is wind, which is a noun. Moving air outdoors, part of weather, right? And that has a short I sound. So if you look over at the pronunciation, you can see it has wind, short I. The next one is wind. It's a verb. It's a twisting motion, as with a clock spring. So when you wind your watch, it has that little knob on the side, and you wind it. But we pronounce it with a long I sound. So the second one is I, wind, and the first one is wind. Okay. So this is kind of the opposite of the words we looked at earlier. This one is words that are spelled the same but pronounced differently. The next category, I'm going to ask you guys to do the same thing. Read first the definition, the word in the definition, and then the tip over here for pronunciation. And this time I'm going to, ooh, new student, Thayer. Welcome to class.
Hi, teacher. How are you? You hear me?
Good. Nice to meet you. Have I had you in class before?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember actually, teacher. Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, if it's my first time, then nice to meet you, and otherwise good to have you back.
Okay.
Will you read number 3 and 4 and then the tips for pronunciation on them?
Okay. Number 3. Read. Past tense verb. Got meaning. From witness words. Sorry, written words, because it is so small. I don't see it and so clear.
Sorry about that.
No, okay. Number 4 right now. I read. Read.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Read. Present tense of same verb, and the note it is number 4. Read. Long e sound. Read. Sorry. 5. Which one? 3. Read. Short e sound. Read. Teacher, you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. So those ones you guys are probably familiar with. They're annoying to deal with, and they make you rely a lot on context. If you're reading something, it's difficult for you to know if it's read or read. So you've got to rely on context. The next 2 are for touchy to lean. Will you read these 2 plus their tips in the next column?
Okay. Abuse, verb to injure or do harm. Abuse, noun, injury, damage, or mistreatment.
Yep, and the tips over here are the Z sound and the S sound. So the verb we pronounce the abuse. So I abuse my little brother. And then the second one is abuse. The abuse was damaging. Tricky words.
Yeah.
All right. The next 2 here, oops, nope. The next 2, number 7 and number 8, are for Ismail. Go ahead and read those for us.
Addict, noun, person who acts compulsively. Addict, verb to make dependent on.
And the tips, we have stress on the AD versus stress on the DIC. So the first one, number 7, is addict. And the second one is addict. So those tips on pronunciation can be very helpful. The next 2, number 9 and 10, Daniel, will you read them?
Combine, noun, a harvesting machine. Combine, verb to put together, mix together, join. Combine, stress on convene, stress on being. No?
Excellent. Yeah, so we have combine and combine.
Combine.
Thank you very much, Daniel. 11 and 12, Ken, read those for us.
Okay. Defect, noun, a flaw. Defect, verb to desert, run or escape from. I heard a noun should be stressed first syllable and verb should be stressed in second syllable. So defect and defect.
Exactly. Yes. So we do have some general pronunciation rules that can help us, can guide us in some of these. But like we mentioned earlier, most of the rules we have lots of exceptions. So that makes it tough. Okay, let's make a few sentences to help us remember the differences between these two words. I'm going to assign you each a set of words and ask you to write sentences using different definitions for each one. Okay, Trin, you get number 3 and 4, read and read. Thayer, you get number 5 and 6, abuse and abuse. Tatitulin, you get addict and addict, number 7 and 8. Ismail, use number 11 and 12, defect and defect. Daniel, number 1 and 2, wind and wind. And Ken, what ones haven't I used yet? Oh, you get number 9 and 10, combine and combined. So write some sentences for those and put them in the chat box when you guys are ready.
Be careful, Ismail. I'm joking.
I done.
Okay, can you read us yours?
Okay. The first one as a verb. He abuses his girlfriend always. And the second one as the noun. Let me see it. Okay. Abuse is not a good situation. Is that right?
Excellent. Awesome sentences. Good pronunciation. Just one minor correction on your first sentence. It makes more sense to put that adverb after the subject before the verb. He always abuses his girlfriend.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Adverbs of time that we put at the end of a sentence usually are longer, like from time to time. You could say he abuses his girlfriend from time to time. But when it's just one word, we usually put it after the subject.
Okay, teacher. He always abuses his girlfriend.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Thayer.
Okay.
All right, Tatitulin, read us your sentences.
Okay, I write without an article. I try to now say with article. He's an addict man.
Okay, so you're using that as a noun, right?
Yeah.
So since it's already a noun, we don't need the addition of the word man. We can just say he's addict.
Okay, he's an addict. He's an addict.
Mm-hmm.
He's an addict. An addict. An addict. And another sentence is he was addicted of alcohol.
Awesome. Great pronunciation and good use of the word. Use to instead of for that particular verb.
Okay, he was addicted to alcohol.
Thank you very much, Tatitulin. Great sentences. Trin, it looks like you're ready. Read us your sentences.
I read books last night. If you want to do exam well, you must read many books.
Excellent. Read and read. Wonderful sentences, Trin. No corrections to be made there. Thank you very much. Ismail, read us your sentences.
The new T-shirt has a defect on its backside.
Okay.
Any inmates defected from the city prison.
Excellent. Those are awesome sentences. And you wrote some others for us as well, right? I am a drug addict and I am addicted to the green environment. I am a book addict. Those are awesome sentences too, Ismail. Thank you. Except you're missing a verb in the one that says addict to the green environment. But I assume you know that.
Sorry?
In one of your sentences, you're missing a verb, so it should say, I am addicted to the green environment.
Yes.
Yeah, but other than that, they're all great. Thank you, Ismail.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Daniel, are you ready with yours?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The wind from the south usually winded very strong in the desert.
Interesting. Okay. So you use them both in one sentence. Well done. The wind from the south usually winded very strong in the desert. So I think that's a great use, but instead of saying... Huh? What was that? Instead of saying very strong, I would say strongly. So
strongly. Okay.
The wind from the south usually winded strongly in the desert.
Adverb, no?
Yeah, adverb.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Are we? Oh, right. Ken, you're up next. Read us yours.
Okay. Rice is going to be harvested by a combine in the fall. Then rice and coarse cereal will be combined for making healthy meals.
Wow, nice. I love that. You gave us a great little start to a story there. Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So there's tons more. You guys can read through them, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to message me also. But we're going to move on to something slightly different, a little more fun. And there's lots more tips for pronunciation here as well. So I encourage you guys to read through these. You could basically read endless tips because English is so irregular. There's a lot to learn in this particular topic. But right now, we're going to go to something a little bit more fun. We're going to switch to a poem that has to do with some of the words we've already talked about. So I'm going to screen share it for you, and we're going to read it together, if you guys can see it. I'll make it a little larger. Okay, so most of these are words that we've already seen or words that you'll probably already be familiar with. So let's read it together. This first stanza here, starting with I take it and to learn of less familiar traps, I'm going to ask Thayer, will you read that paragraph for us?
Okay, yes, teacher. Okay, which page? Okay, I will read it from your screen. I take it you already know of tough and puff and cuff and duff. Others may stumble, but not you. Oh, hiccup, hiccup. Is that P in the end, teacher? P or F? Hiccup.
In the traditional spelling that you see there, it is pronounced like a P, but it doesn't have one.
Okay, through enough, and through. Well done. And now you wish, perhaps, to learn of less familiar traps.
Thank you very much. So this poem is about pronunciation, and it compares the words, starting with some of the ones we talked about, those O-U-G-H words. So I encourage you guys, as we're reading through these, to check your list to see if you can get some helpful tips on how to pronounce. And Ismail, will you read that first stanza as well, paying close attention to the pronunciation of those OUGH words?
I take it you already know of taw and bow and cough and doff. Others may stumble, but not you. On hiccough, true, enough, and true. Well done, and now you wish perhaps to learn of less familiar traps.
Thank you very much. Most of those words were good, but I still heard a couple that were a little bit wrong. Daniel, give that first paragraph a try.
I take it you already know of toe and boat and cough and dove. Others may stumble, but not you. On hiccough, thought of, enough, and throw. Well done, and now you wish perhaps to learn of less familiar traps?
Excellent. I think you got all of those. So it's tricky because we have, in the first line, we have tough, bow, cough, dough. So we have several different pronunciations. And then in the second line, we have hiccup, thorough, enough, and through. Again, really different pronunciations, all for the same sound. Okay. Moving on to the next stanza. Ken, will you read that one for us? The next paragraph.
Okay. Beware of hard and dreadful word that looks like beard and sound like a bard. A debt, it's said like bet, not not bead.
Yeah.
Oh, bed? I don't know. For goodness sake, don't call it deed. Watch out for meat and great and threat. They rhyme with sweet and straight and depth.
Excellent. You navigated those pretty well. Thanks, Ken. Trin, will you give that one a try for us as well?
Sorry, what did you say?
Will you read the second paragraph starting with beware of?
Okay. Beware of hurt and dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird and date. It's said like bed, not bead. For goodness sake, don't call it deed. Watch out for meat and greed and treat. They rhythm with suit and stretch and depth. A month is not month in mother.
Great. Thank you very much, Trin. I'm going to read this paragraph just for you guys to get a little used to the sounds. I think you guys did a great job of reading, but I'll read through it just once to make sure. So, beware of herd, a dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird. And dead, it's said like bed, not bead. For goodness sake, don't call it deed. Watch out for meat and great and threat. They rhyme with suit, straight, and debt. Oh, sweet. So we have meat, sweet, great, straight, threat, debt. Okay. One more paragraph, starting with this first line. Oops. And going down to the next one. Thayer, can you read this? Starting with this one. Oh,
Which one?
sorry, starting with the first line on the last line on the first page and continuing to the next one. So a moth is not. And then I'll scroll down in a second. Sorry.
Teacher, which one exactly? I didn't hear you.
It's paragraph number 3, starting with a moth is not. And I'll scroll down when you need to see the rest.
A moth is not. A moth in mother.
Continue on the next page.
Yeah, I see it. Narbath and bother. broad in brother, and here is not a match for there, nor there and fear, for beer and pear, and then there is does and draws and laws. Just look them up, and goes and choose, and cork and work, and card and word, and font and front, and word and sword, and do and go, and thwart and cart. But that is not all. So don't lose heart. There's come and hum, and cram and hum, as well as come, bum, tom, and numb. You live in a house, but you are alive. I don't see the others, teacher.
That's okay. That's a good section for us to talk about.
Okay.
So some of these we learned rules about. Some of them will be new, but probably familiar because they're all very common words. And this paragraph plays a lot with some common sounds and spelling, like the EA that usually is a long sound like deer and fear, but we also use it with pear and bear. Do you guys have any questions about this paragraph?
Yes, teacher, just about what is mean on the first line, broth. Broth or broth?
Broth is when you have a kind of, it's like a soup without anything in it. So when you cook water with a little bit of chicken in it and then you take the chicken out, you end up with water that kind of tastes like chicken.
Okay.
That's called broth. So it's just water that's had something cooked inside of it, so it has the vague flavor of something else.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions from this section?
No, I don't have.
All right. If you guys do think of questions, definitely let me know. We just have 2 more lines. You live in a house, but you're alive. I'd learned it all when I was 5. So we have lots of examples of really crazy spelled words that go back to what we were talking about earlier in class. Does anyone want to try the poem all the way through? No?
Maybe me.
All right. Go ahead then. If you want to try it, go for it.
Okay, teacher. I take it you already know. I don't see it.
You don't see it?
Okay. Yeah, I see it right now. Yep.
Oh, okay.
I take it you already know. Okay. I take it you already know. Of tough and buff, and cough and dough. Others may stumble, but
Can you see?
Well done.
Can you see it?
And now you wish, perhaps. What, teacher? You hear me?
Sorry, you cut out for a second and I thought you were gone, but you're back. Continue.
Okay, you hear me right now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well done. And now you wish, perhaps, to learn of less familiar traps. Beware of heard, a dreadful word that looks like beard and sounds like bird, and dead, it is said like bed, not bead. For goodness sake, don't call it deed. Watch out for meat and great and threat. They rhyme with soit and straight and dead. Okay, I continue, teacher. You hear me?
Sure. Go ahead. If you want to try the rest, go for it.
Okay, it is up to you if you want to continue or stop.
Can you see the rest?
Teacher, my connection is so slowly. I don't know. I don't sure if you hear me.
Okay, I can hear you fine, but we'll move on. Does anyone want to finish the rest of this poem for us? Okay. You want to try it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
What paragraph?
Yeah, start with the second part, I guess, the second page, this part.
Okay. No, both in bottle, broth in brother, and here is not a match for that, nor dear and fear, phobia and peer. And then there's done and goes and loose, just look them up and goose and shoes and cork and work and craft and what and font and front and word and sort and do and go and swat and cart, but that's not all, so don't lose heart. There's come and home and crumb and hum as well as come, bomb, tom, and news. You live in a house, but your life, I learned it all when I was 5.
Thank you very much. So I got this from a simple Google search, and I'm going to put this in the chat box for you guys in case you want it. It's the third link down. Yeah, the third link down. So it's difficult for me to send you an actual link to it because it comes up as a PDF, but it's the third link on this page that I'm sending you. So if you guys want to practice with this, that would be an awesome idea. Do you guys have any other questions or comments before we finish up? I'm starting another class in a second, and it's on a very similar topic. We're going to be talking about homographs and homophones and words like that. So if you're interested, please come back. And if not, then I will see you another time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.